Hi, this is Zach with Worn and Wound. Today I'll be taking a look at the Sevenfriday PR1. This is a new watch by an also new brand called Sevenfriday. They're based in Zurich, Switzerland. And this watch, as you can probably tell from looking at it, is really extraordinarily unique. We've never come across a watch that looked quite like this. And that's really, a rarity, I should say, because usually watches refer to something in a classic watchmaking or military aesthetic, and Sevenfriday instead kind of went for this industrial aesthetic, looking at machinery and architecture, and came out with this extraordinarily unique watch. It has a very interesting finished case and a lot of details in the dial, a lot of texturing, a lot of little pieces. It's really a detail-driven, oriented watch, which from a design perspective is both fascinating and quite attractive. The watch is powered by the Japanese Miyota 82S7 movement, and the watch retails for $891 US, making it a little pricier than, say, like an impulse purchase, but it's such a unique watch that I think, if you find this aesthetically pleasing, it's definitely going to call out to you. The case of the Sevenfriday PR1 is remarkably well finished and detailed, and also quite large. It is a 47.6 millimeters from side to side, going left to right, and 47 millimeters from top to bottom. Obviously, it is a lugless design, so lug to lug, 47 isn't that huge, but 47.6 width is quite large. It's also about 13 millimeters thick. It's a jumbo watch, but they use the space very well, which I applaud them for. Now, looking at the case design, it has this rounded square shape with a kind of no side on it. It's perfectly straight. Everything bows gently, so it's a very aesthetically pleasing form. If you're familiar with Tag Heuer Silverstone watches, you'll see it has a kind of a similar shape to that. Now, looking at the finishing of the watch, you'll see from the top, you can already see three different finishes going on here. So the side of the case actually has a gray kind of PVD coating, kind of gives it like almost a raw metal look, and it has a slight brushing there. Moving in then, you have this ring of polished steel, and then at the very inner ring you have another brushed steel finish, which is actually almost a satin finish, and that's actually brushed radially, which is really nice, so the light kind of moves out from the inside of the dial. Just very smart finishing there. I don't think we've actually seen a watch with quite such extensive finishing really ever, let alone on a watch that is coming in at under $1,000. So it's really an exciting feature for the watch to have. Looking at the crown at 3, is a fairly large crown but thin. It's easy to grasp. It doesn't, I kind of wish it was screw down, to be honest, because the overall build quality watch is very nice and very solid and has a good weight to it, but the crown just feels a tiny bit loose. It's not actually something I think that is a problem, just literally just a sensation feeling. Looking at the crown itself, it's a sort of a logo. It has the same shape that the minute hand has on the central disc here, so it just ties back in, basically a signed crown. It is a cool looking crown. Flipping it over now, you can see the case back, and here you have, once again, a couple more pieces. There's this extensively etched case back that gives you the dimensions of the watch, the dimensions of the strap, details on the movement, a whole slew of kind of interesting stuff, and it's nicely laid out and it's quite cool looking. And then the case back itself, which is screwed on, it's actually two case backs really, an inner case back and then an outer case back, screwed on with these 4 screws. And they did a really cool thing here. So the case back that you can imagine if this came out, it would pop in and fit in here with the lugs. So this is kind of arch shape. It's just a great detail. Like I said, this watch is very detail driven, very architectural, very machined. And these little things like that, I think, go a long way to making this a very well thought out watch. To go along with the remarkable finishing of the case of the watch, the dial of the PR1 is really complicated, has a lot of different pieces. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it's 5 different layers and 11 different kind of layered pieces within that. And the overall look, like I said, there's a machine aesthetic for the watch, and they pull off this kind of very interesting and very different dial. So now just starting looking at the outside of the dial, you have this black area with kind of little screw markings in there that's kind of, just surrounding the heart of the dial. Going in a little bit, you have this white index here that is indicating minutes. And, I'll just actually jump right to it, but the minute hand here, which is in the center, has this large kind of disc shape, and it's meant to, obviously refer to a gear or some sort of flywheel. It's, it's something industrial for sure. Now going in, you have this now inner silver area that's broken up into various layers. As I move it in the light, you can probably see how it hits different parts differently. This first area has a kind of a concentric circle pattern, and then moving in, it's more of a flat satin finish with a fair amount of text on it. Obviously, most prominent is Sevenfriday at the top. And then in a light gray, there's actually quite a bit of text. I won't read it all, but what they did that's nice there is by making it light gray, it kind of recedes away from the dial. So you can see it in certain light, but it doesn't actually feel like, it doesn't overweigh the rest of the dial, which I feel like if that was in black, it absolutely would. So that was just a good move on their part. Whether or not all that text is necessary, is kind of up to you. Now moving in, you have an hour index in this inner black circle, broken up into even hours, but it only runs, you can see 11, 12, 1, 2, and 3. Moving the hands a little bit will show that. So it's kind of a crescent shape. Just really kind of interesting details to put. So, you kind of, at certain points of the day, the hours are obviously more easy to read. Other parts of the day, you just kind of use your general knowledge of how a watch works and extending out to the outer index. Now looking in, moving the hands here quite a bit, you'll see that there's a main hour hand, which is actually a copper color, then the minute hand I talked about before. Now here at 9 o'clock is a 24-hour disc, and here at 4.5 is the active sub-seconds dial. The Miyota H2S7 movement, which is a 21 joule automatic movement that's powering this watch, has both of these features standard and is an open heart watch, so you can see this exposed balance wheel through a skeletonized portion. That is actually something you usually maybe see on dress watches, things like that. But I think it was actually a very cool detail for them to include here because there it is. There's the heart of the machine. You can see it right through the front, and around that they actually have also kind of a matte gray kind of guard plate. There's so much going on here. It's almost hard to summarize, but the overall aesthetic I think is really, really well thought out. Genuinely unique. It has some very cool little moments and details on it. I love these little screwed on arrows here. Overall, just a really exceptional, well finished dial. Taking a look at the PR1 on the wrist, as I said before, it's a fairly large watch. It's a very large watch. It's 47.6 millimeters across. So, it's definitely a statement-making watch. It has a lot of wrist presence. But, in terms of comfort, though it's quite large this way, the 47 millimeter lug-to-lug isn't too bad. So it's not overhanging my wrist. And, I think it's actually quite wearable. And at 13 millimeters thick, isn't too thick. You can get it under a shirt sleeve if necessary. This is a very eye-catching watch. All the changing in finish from satin to polish really makes it hit the light. Sorry, the light hits it, and it's really quite dramatic. Almost immediately when I was wearing this, people asked me what it was. And that's very cool if that's something you're into. If you really want a statement watch, it's definitely a great option. The lug width on the watch is a very large 28 millimeters. And, while I feel like proportionally the 28 millimeters works very well with the watch, that is, of course, going to limit your strap options to basically what Sevenfriday makes and sells. So, that is unfortunate, but it is a nice strap. It is a black leather, as you can see, with stitching. It was very rigid out of the box, but after just a little, kind of shaping it with my hand to my wrist a little bit, it got quite comfortable and, isn't too thick or too heavy. It's a very large strap, but I don't find it to be quite a burden to wear. It isn't too thick, millimeter-wise this way in height. You can see they have their own buckle here, which has some matching finishing to the case. It's a really nice touch, and they didn't actually, use the opportunity to put a huge brand on there, which is nice. It's just a nice additional piece. The Sevenfriday PR1 is not lacking in presentation either. It comes in this very overbuilt wooden box that kind of resembles a shipping crate. It has kind of these spaces under here, which you might see for like a fork or like a pallet lift. Lots of screening all over. Turning it around, there's even more logos and things. It's really dramatic. It's a lot of fun, I have to say, to receive a watch in this level of case, but it also sticks to the industrial aesthetic of the brand, which I like. It's very cool. Anyway, opening it up, slide off this top, and you have a piece of foam in here, and take that out, and now you have the watch presented in this kind of like recycled paper pulp carriage, which I also think is very cool. That's not something I've seen a watch come in. It's a very rough looking material. When the watch actually arrived, it had a plastic wrap on it, so you don't have to worry about this actually doing anything to the watch. But it's also very cool. It's just not something I've seen for a watch before. Here you have this warranty card, which is actually a printed metal card. Now taking this all out, I should take the watch out first. There's even more underneath here. So you have this instruction booklet here that it comes with, which has a lot of cool stuff on it, exploded drawings of the movement and the case, and as well as just actual instructions. Then underneath that, you have stickers. Can't hurt to have stickers, so they give you a whole bunch. That's kind of fun. And a Sevenfriday polishing cloth, which is this bright red color. Overall, this is a great package. They did not skimp on packaging at all. It just adds a lot of value when you receive something like this, and a lot of care went into it. So to wrap up, the Sevenfriday PR1 is this really bold and unique watch. It's not like any watch we've seen before. It's very successful in a lot of ways. They did this really kind of great finishing on the case, and they have this very layered and interesting dial. The overall aesthetic has this kind of industrial, machine-inspired aesthetic, and I think they did a really good job achieving that. Partially, they, from using this Miyota H2S7 open heart automatic movement, they implemented it very well in the dial so that you can see the balance wheel through the dial, but it doesn't feel tacky or cheesy at all. It once again just reinforces the aesthetic. One thing I really also like about the watch is that everything on this watch was designed from the ground up. You're not going to see any part of it on anything else, so that's really a great thing for them to strive for and to have achieved, especially at the price point of $891, which granted isn't cheap, but I think designing everything from the ground up is part of what you're paying for, and at that price it's actually I think a very good value for that. A couple other things though, it is a very large watch, 47.6 millimeters, so that could be too large for many people. My 7-inch wrist, I found it to be tolerable, though it is larger than a watch I would normally wear, but it is bold and looks really cool. The strap is 28 millimeters at the lug. It is a nice strap, but once again that will limit your options for putting your own strap onto it. These are things, though, if you can live with that. I imagine that Sevenfriday will be offering different strap options in the future. Overall, the watch is just very cool. It's very unique. I think if you like the look of it, you're going to really like the watch. So yeah, this is Zach with Worn and Wound. Please read the full review on the website and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you.